Thomas Michel was invited in Oslo by the brother of my wife, Kemalettin Suslu. My wife Fatma Suslu, that left me on the 23rd of February with my kid, which I still haven't seen up to this date. Obviously, when they invited Thomas Michel to Oslo, I was very skeptic. I said, you know, what kind of interreligious dialogue are we going to do with the Jesuits? But then when I saw the level of submission of their own Muslim movement, the Fethullah Gulen movement of Fethullah Gulen, to the Jesuits, I was quite shocked.
Now, for those of you out there that don't know who Fethullah Gulen is an Islamic preacher from Turkey and also a very powerful political figure. He began what is called the Gulen movement, which you'll hear Leo Zagami talk about a few times during some of our interviews. Now, this Gulen movement, it has a great many followers in Turkey, but also right here in the US of A. But what makes Fethullah Gulen such an important key player in the fomentation of the New World Order is that Fethullah Gulen is the leading figurehead for interreligious talks on the behalf of Islam, promoting the union of all religious bodies, all religious faiths. I'm talking about Jew, Buddhist, snake charmer, spiritualist. It doesn't make a difference, okay? He's specifically pinpointing the Abrahamic faiths, but the point here is that Fethullah Gulen is carrying out a major role for the success of the ecumenical movement. The same ecumenical movement that was born out of the Second Vatican Council in 1962. Now, is it any wonder to anybody out there why Fethullah Gulen in 1998 took a trip to the Vatican to meet Pope John Paul II? It's because Fethullah Gulen is just carrying out the designs of the Vatican. He's nothing more than a papal pawn.
And honest, I was with the Muslims simply because they gave me a wonderful wife, gave me a wonderful kid, and she's a descendant of Prophet Muhammad. So within the bloodlines, this marriage had very big importance because it unifies the Templar lineages that I have together with the bloodline of Prophet Muhammad. And so Christianity and the Muslim faith finally can be united in one person, which is my son, Leo Zagami. Which is a very important document of a meeting of the Illuminati that was supposed to be held in September 2006 with my wife, relating Fatma Suslu and Gabriele Mandelkhan, with basically the mystics of Islam and the Knights Templars, the Knighthoods of Islam and the Knights Templars together in the monastery of Santa Scholastica, Subiago. See, this is the name of my wife here. Fatma Suslu.
That's right there.
See, representative for Fethullah Gulen.
Where's Fethullah Gulen? Oh, there it is. Fethullah Gulen. Wow.
Get it?
And that's the Monte Carlo Lodge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right there. Yeah, the Universal Unity. I know that has to do with the Monte Carlo Lodge.
Yeah, that's an official branch of the Monte Carlo.
Yes. Wow. So we had the Muslim leaders coming together with the Monte Carlo Lodge.
And in the Vatican most holy monastery where the Pope Ratzinger went before becoming Pope to do his last speech.
Wow.
Before becoming Pope.
Wow.
For the Sufis, for the Muslims, my son is a chosen one because they had some specific dreams before he was born. And so they don't want to let...
Can you turn those lights on?
They don't want to let me have any contact with my son because they want to bring him up brainwashed by the Fethullah Gulen movement, by their own version of Islam, manipulated by the Jesuits. And they know that I'm their biggest enemy now that I've exposed the truth about the movement and also about all the rest of the Muslim world, because it's not only the Fethullah Gulen movement. You have Arunyaya with his evil underground sex cult, which is a famous Muslim scholar that in reality does all kinds of twisted and satanic activities in the background. From his headquarters is in Istanbul, and he's very powerful in the Muslim world as a scholar, very respected. No any good Muslim out there believes that Arunyaya can be, after they read his books that are so popular, a guy who has a sex cult where everything is permitted, exchanging women, anal and oral penetration, as long as you don't do vaginal penetration. I mean, that is the hypocrisy at work with these kind of Muslim leaders. And then we have the Wahhabi world that is completely corrupt. They all go with prostitutes and whores from Babylonian Empire during their trips to Cairo, which is the Paris of the Middle East, and have all forms of decadent parties, not involving only women but also young boys. So the corruption of the people in charge of the holy land of Islam is at such a level which they should be ashamed of themselves. And they are spread all over the United States, Arunyaya. Because Arunyaya gets the support of who? Of the CIA, like Fethullah Gulen. And so after this meeting that took place in Oslo, where it was present Thomas Michel and some Muslim leaders of the Sufi movements, including myself, which at that time I was a Mujahideen and I was a member of the Illuminati Council of the Muslim world, so I was working within that frame, thinking that the Muslim world could support me against the New World Order, where I was basically living in an illusion myself, thinking that these people could actually help me, because they were completely in the hands of the enemy, and at the end I just had to admit that. Also, thanks to the betrayal of my wife with this Gulen movement and this whole events, they kidnapping my kid and keeping my kid still now. I haven't seen my son since the 23rd of February. So I discovered that this Muslim religion wasn't tolerant at all, and that behind closed doors there were a bunch of hypocrites.
What role do you believe that the Muslims play in this whole scenario?
The Muslims are themselves corrupt. 90% of the Muslims is corrupt. Basically, the Muslim leaders, who they follow so much because each Muslim community follows their own leaders,
right,
unfortunately have they want to enter the New World Order scenario with the Vatican, with Israel. They want to enter the business, they want to be participant of this wealth, and in a way also they function with the fundamentalist side of Islam as a way for the New World Order to establish their strategy of tension, and then this police state that came upon us after 9/11.